Hello, and welcome back to this channel. Today's going to be a very busy video because today's going to be another informational plant tour. If you guys are new to the channel, we do an informational plant tour every single day, and every single day we have something new to talk about. So there's a lot to talk about that we really never talked about today. Especially, we're also going to be going outside into the garden. I'm going to be giving you some information on what I'm planning to do and what you guys should consider doing too. So before we do go ahead and start today's video, please subscribe, hit the bell notification on all so you not start video, and please like this video. Let's go ahead and start today's video. So if you guys are new, I have two different setups. I have an aquaponics setup, pretty much the same as hydroponics, but you're adding fish into the setup too. So it's kind of a mix of aquaculture too. And I'm using shelf growing, kind of known as vertical farming, but I'm just gonna call it shelf farming because so both setups are absolutely incredible. It really depends on what you guys want, because I will say aquaponics is a lot more complicated than just buying a shelf, buying some grow lights, getting some pots, and that's it. Then you're pretty much set up there. You will have to get some other supplies like some trays, soil, plants too, but this does get a little bit more complicated. But if you guys are down for a challenge, this is a great way to learn a lot more about plants pretty quickly. And to be honest, something funny that a lot of people really don't know about me is when I did build the system, I had no clue anything about fish. I have gone fishing a few times, but not much lately. And I will say, lately I've gone to a ton of fish stores, gotten a lot of fish, learned a lot about fish. It's absolutely incredible how much you can learn about fish in just a few months. And in fact, I enjoyed aquaponics so much, I actually did one of the biggest videos I've ever done on any of my channels, this ecosystem build. This build took about 3 months from planning to building to editing. I probably spent about 30 to 40 hours editing that video, so if you guys do want to help support that video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would. But turning back around, let's go ahead and talk about all the plants because it is an informational plant tour. We are growing basil, cilantro, parsley, oak leaf lettuce, tango lettuce, ruby lettuce, gourmet mixture, salad bowl mix, butter crunch, and grand lettuce. Now I'm going to be honest with you guys, it does take quite some time for a setup like this to kind of just fix in a way. Because a lot of people do say you want the system to settle, just get used to everything, the plants get used to it. I will say it does take quite some time, especially as I grow the system a lot more. It's taken quite some time for the plants to really start thriving, but I will say once your system has really settled and it's starting to thrive once again, you will have a lot of success doing that. So first of all, the water and all the fish in there, I will say that setup is pretty good. It goes through a biofilter and it goes all the way up. All that ammonia is turned into nitrate, which is actually even more toxic to fish. But by the time it gets to the very end and all those plants take all that nutrients out, it really does start to thrive in all the fish. It's just this incredible ecosystem working together to form just this. It's just absolutely incredible to see all this work together. I'm a little bit nervous on some of these plants too, because even though the setup is bigger than I used to have, some of the plants are struggling a little bit more, which is interesting. So I will say I did have this same exact problem the first time I did this. The plants did really bad the first month, and then once that first month went by and the plants could grow and just everything could settle and start to thrive once again, I did start to see a lot of growth and a lot of just absolutely incredible things happening throughout the system. I will say basil will be one of the plants that will kind of boost that and really help it along the side of a lot of other plants helping too. So I have a lot of cilantro, a lot of other stuff like parsley is kind of helping too in this case. That root structure is looking pretty good. It will take some time for the system to kind of settle, so just be ready for that. And I will say, the first time I did that, the plants, when I first put the plants in, like when I first did the system for the first time, the plants got worse before they got better. So they are definitely looking worse. Some of the worst I've ever seen them look. That root structure does look the best, but it could be a lot of cases in which the fish are a lot bigger than when I first started. So there is a lot more nutrients in it, and a lot of these are probably having nutrients burnt, which usually means there's too much nutrients in it. The plants can't take it, and it's slowly starting to burn the roots a little bit. So I will say that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, my top plants will take the most nutrients. So eventually I'll have like strawberries up here, and it'll kind of just really help settle the system down. But just be ready. If you guys do want to have a system like this, I'm actually working on some other designs. I'm possibly expanding the system. So if you guys do want to check that series out, I'll be trying a lot of new things on that, and that'll probably happen in about 2 years. So definitely quite some time away, but I do want to learn a lot more about this system too. Moving over to this, we have a lot happening over here. From growth to germination to plants starting to die out and be ready to be switched by another plant. So much life happening over here. First thing is going to be broccoli. Then I have mustard and dill. I actually made a huge mistake that last week by not watering much. So a lot of plants got a little bit damaged because there's no water going to them. So they had nothing to thrive off of. Especially these two plants. Both of these looked very bad yesterday. I ended up watering them. They have recovered very, very well. I'm actually so mind blown with how well they did recover. But both of these do smell amazing too. Going down, I am a little bit disappointed on how this is going so far. I ended up spending like $20 on all these plants. I went up to Lowe's, got a ton of bare roots, and it's actually pretty interesting to really work with these because one plant ended up growing, so I don't really know what's happening with the other plants. So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. We'll see what happens. If nothing happens, then there's gonna be a problem. But for now, I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer, and we'll just see what happens. Going down to one of my favorite shelves, we have a lot going on here too. Probably being overwatered quite a bit, but I will say the strawberries are doing pretty well. The lettuce over there is doing really bad. So it's kind of interesting to see this growing. I've actually done so much work with lettuce lately, and I kind of feel like there's too much nutrients in it, too much compost. Because I just started making my own compost, my own soil mix. It's really working here, and I do have a lot more learning to do with that. And I do think I made a pretty big mistake by overdoing the compost in a way. So definitely a lot of compost in there. I've also overwatered quite a bit too, so that's a little bit bad on my side, but at the end of the day, the mistakes I make are always going to be better because then I learned from those mistakes. Going over here now, I have a ton of strawberries I'm germinating. I'm actually germinating 2 different types of seeds. This one came from True Leaf Market, and if you guys have not heard of them, or if you guys have not checked them out, I strongly recommend checking them out. I actually get all my seeds from them, and I strongly do recommend you checking them out too. Then I got these from Real Strawberries. I just went up to the grocery store. Same with these. I got blueberries from the grocery store too. Cut them up a little bit, kind of blended them in a way, not like an actual blender, but just kind of with my hands, and then I got all the seeds off, and then that was actually a pretty cool experience working with that way. But both of these are starting to do good. I'm starting to see germination throughout all of these plants, and I'll constantly keep you guys updated on progress. Then, flower-wise, a lot of stuff has happened. First of all, I am growing 2 flowers that are actually doing pretty good so far. I have California poppy seeds and cosmos. Then, next to these, I have 2 of my favorite plants. Well, they're both pretty much identical, but I call it 2 because they're both in different pots. I keep wanting to say buttercrunch lettuce, but these are bunching onions. These are done absolutely incredible. So much growth throughout all of this. I'm very, very excited to start working with these outside of the garden and just throughout all of it. Then, I have a lot of progress happening right here. The rosemary is once again thriving. I have noticed some interesting stuff happening lately too. It's almost like they're going into hibernation because like some of these are starting to grow, like just the leaves are like starting to die, which is interesting. So lately I've been kind of cutting off those plants, and I actually just did that one too. There was one the other day that I took up too, but other than that, I'm not seeing anything else, and which is actually pretty good. So going up one shelf, there's a lot of progress happening right here too. Lots and lots of growth. I actually just planted these just the other day ago. So very, very new plants and very, very exciting. I am growing Cosmos. Some of these I really don't want to try pronouncing because it sounds bad. We got Aster there, Impatience, 4 o'clock, Cypress, and then Snapdragon. All of these are absolutely beautiful flowers, especially that one right there. So far the Cosmos are starting to germinate. We're starting to see some of the soil being pushed up in some spots too. So that means that's a great sign of root development, and they're starting to germinate too. So that'll be a very, very cool thing happening in the garden. Going down, this is what I like to call kind of the finale shelf, even though this is not the last shelf for today's video. We have so much happening here. We are growing basil, cilantro, oregano, and parsley. And in the middle, we have strawberry plants. Those are doing okay. Then back here, I'm growing celery and daisies. The celery is thriving really well, and the daisies are starting to die. So I will say that, but I really have noticed that strawberries are not starting to just thrive anymore. They're actually, well, they're growing the leaves definitely, but the cups I think are the main reason, because they're just constantly being overwatered. I actually did a lot of work with these cups to put as much holes as possible into them so they can drain as good as possible. So I'm gonna let these probably germinate for quite some more time, and maybe they will start growing. A little bit nervous in those factors because this one actually started growing the day after I put all these in. So just fingers crossed they do germinate. I am really, really hoping they do. Then I have one last on this side. I'm growing rosemary and lavender. Both of these are germinating. Both of those are known for growing very, very slowly. So we'll see how those do. Then over here, these are the biggest plants in the room. We're growing sugar peas 2 different ways. We're growing cherry tomatoes 2 different ways. And then we have blueberry plants. I'm going to spend a second to talk about these really quick. These will be going out into the garden permanently. They'll be staying out there. I have 2 different types of blueberry plants. Blue Rain and Blue Crop. Both of these look pretty good. To be honest, I don't really know the exact difference between both of them, but both of them do look good. And so far, I've noticed that plant right there has a lot more leaves than like this plant. This plant definitely has quite a few, but yeah. So I'm also growing some stuff more of a hydroponic way in a way. So I'm growing 2 different things. I'm growing strawberries, which one is actually right here starting to do well. And then I'm growing the cherry tomatoes, and that actually they're starting to germinate. You can see right there. Over here, I have more of a bunched up sugar pea plant. Those are doing actually really incredibly well. Over here, these plants are actually starting to die out, so that is pretty disappointing. And then to end the video off, well, this part of the video off, with the huge cherry tomato plants. These are very, very well. They smell absolutely incredible, and they're getting very, very big. So let's go ahead and go outside so I can start talking about the setup I'm going to be doing very, very soon. Well, I just uncovered one of the pots for the strawberries, and check out how much moss is actually growing on top. So that's not the best. So I'm going to grab some stuff to take that off, but let's hope these are doing the same, but I'm not going to uncover these yet. Now, I will say next week is supposed to be very, very warm, so I'm going to be doing a lot of videos outside, so I'm very, very excited about that. I actually did a video this morning talking about a garden. If you guys do want to hear a lot of information on starting a garden, you can check that video out, and I did do a lot of information that you guys, even if you do have a garden, you should probably consider getting. So, just kind of talking about some space and plans I do have. I am starting to mix up the soil over there for the first time in quite some time, but all of that will be moved around. I'm going to be getting these giant grow beds that will be right here, so I'm very, very excited to do some pretty cool stuff there. I'm going to be doing a lot of growing stuff right there. I'm going to be hopefully adding some more strawberries to this area, but these strawberry plants have settled a little bit better, so these should thrive very, very well once it does start to get a lot warmer. So I'm very, very excited about that. I'm also going to be doing a lot of stuff in the front and actually where the soil is and on the side. So I'm going to be doing tomatoes in the same spots. Actually, a lot of plants I did do last year, and I really did like that space and how well they grew. I'll probably be growing those in the same spots too. So there will be a lot of stuff moved around, but we'll just see how stuff does. And wow, that bird is really loud today. So this is gonna be the end of the video.
So, if you guys do like these types of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell notification on all so you're not missing a video, and please like this video. If you guys are interested in our informational plant tour playlist, you can go ahead and click that video on the screen right now. And if you've not yet subscribed, please do so. And thank you all so much for watching today's video and supporting the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow when we post next. Peace.